Have you ever found yourself canceling plans at the last minute? Not because you're busy, but because the thought of social interaction suddenly feels overwhelming? Or maybe you've noticed a friend who has become exceptionally meticulous, organizing their life with a rigidity that seems almost excessive. We often dismiss these behaviors as quirks, personality traits, or just someone having a bad day. But what if some of these seemingly normal behaviors are actually subtle whispers from our psyche, hinting at something deeper? What if they are signposts for underlying mental health conditions that we've learned to normalize? The line between a personality trait and a symptom of a mental health condition can be blurry. It's a bit like looking at a coastline from a distance. The land and water seem distinct, but as you get closer, you see the intricate dance where waves meet the sand, constantly shifting and blurring the boundary. This is the space we're going to explore today. We're not talking about the well-known, dramatic portrayals of mental illness often seen in media. Instead, we're focusing on the quiet, everyday behaviors that can be early indicators of conditions like anxiety, depression, OCD, or even trauma responses. Understanding these signs isn't about self-diagnosis, but about fostering self-awareness and compassion, both for ourselves and for others. Let's start with a behavior many of us are familiar with: chronic procrastination. We all put things off sometimes. But when procrastination becomes a dominant pattern, especially for tasks that were once easy or enjoyable, it might be more than just poor time management. For someone experiencing depression, the lack of energy and motivation, a state known as anhedonia, can make even the smallest task feel like climbing a mountain. It's not laziness. It's a genuine depletion of mental and physical resources. Research from Carleton University, particularly studies led by Dr. Tim Feichel, has linked chronic procrastination to negative emotions like guilt and low self-esteem, which are hallmarks of depression. It's a vicious cycle. You feel too drained to start, so you procrastinate, which then makes you feel guilty and even more drained. It's less about a refusal to do the work and more about an inability to muster the psychological energy required to begin. Another behavior that often flies under the radar is excessive and meticulous planning. Being organized is a prized trait, right? But when does it cross the line? Consider someone who spends hours planning their week down to the minute, creating spreadsheets for social outings, or feeling intense distress if their perfectly structured day is disrupted. This isn't just being a type A personality. This level of rigidity and the need for control can be a sign of an anxiety disorder. For someone with generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, the world can feel chaotic and threatening. Planning becomes a coping mechanism, a way to impose order on a world that feels dangerously unpredictable. A 2011 study published in the Journal of Anxiety Disorders found that individuals with GAD often engage in over-preparation as a way to manage their constant worry. They believe that if they can anticipate every possible outcome, they can prevent anything bad from happening. It's a shield against the endless what-ifs that plague their mind. So, when you see someone whose planning seems to go beyond simple organization, consider that it might be their way of holding a storm of anxiety at bay. Similarly, let's talk about irritability and anger. We all get grumpy. A bad night's sleep or a stressful day at work can make anyone short-tempered. But persistent, low-level irritability, that feeling of being constantly on edge and snapping at the smallest things, can be a masked symptom of depression, particularly in men. The classic image of depression is sadness and crying. But the diagnostic criteria also include irritability and frustration. It's like a pressure cooker with a faulty valve. The emotional distress builds up inside with no healthy outlet, so it escapes as bursts of anger. A study from 2013 in the journal JAMA Psychiatry highlighted that irritability and anger were common symptoms in a large subset of individuals with major depression. This can be confusing for both the person experiencing it and their loved ones. They might not feel sad in the traditional sense, so they don't recognize it as depression. Instead, they just feel perpetually angry at the world, pushing people away when they need them the most. Now let's explore a more subtle behavior. A sudden and intense passion for a new hobby, which then fizzles out just as quickly. One week, a person is determined to become a master baker, buying all the equipment and baking day and night. The next month, all that equipment is collecting dust, as they've moved on to oil painting with the same feverish intensity. While exploring new interests is healthy, this pattern of intense, short-lived obsessions can be a sign of bipolar disorder. During a hypomanic or manic episode, a person can experience a surge of energy, creativity, and goal-directed activity. They might feel incredibly productive and euphoric, launching into ambitious projects with boundless enthusiasm. But as the episode wanes and a depressive state sets in, that energy evaporates, leaving them with no motivation to continue. The abandoned hobbies become monuments to a mood they can no longer access. It's not that they're flaky or lack discipline. Their brain chemistry is taking them on a roller coaster of energy and motivation that is beyond their conscious control. Another behavior we often misinterpret is social withdrawal, often framed as introversion. An introvert recharges their energy through solitude. But when someone who used to enjoy social gatherings starts consistently avoiding them, it might be something more. Social anxiety isn't just shyness. It's an intense fear of being judged, scrutinized, or humiliated in social situations. This fear can be so paralyzing that it makes avoiding social contact feel like the only safe option. A person with social anxiety might want to connect with others, but the internal monologue of "what will they think of me?" or "I'll say something stupid" is so loud that it drowns out any potential for enjoyment. This is different from the introvert's preference for quiet. It's an active, fear-based avoidance. The psychologist Jonathan Haidt, in his book The Coddling of the American Mind, discusses how avoidance reinforces anxiety. Each time a person skips a party or a meeting, they get a moment of relief, which trains their brain to believe that avoidance is the correct response, strengthening the anxiety in the long run. Finally, consider the person who is always busy, the one whose calendar is packed from dawn till dusk. They're juggling a demanding job, a side hustle, intense workout routines, and a packed social life. We often admire these people as productive and ambitious, but sometimes this compulsive busyness can be a form of avoidance, a way to outrun difficult emotions or trauma. This is sometimes referred to as a flight response to trauma. Instead of freezing or fighting, some people try to stay in constant motion, believing that if they stop, the painful feelings will catch up to them. Dr. Gabor Mate, a renowned expert on trauma, often speaks about how our society praises workaholism and other forms of busyness that are actually trauma responses. The person isn't necessarily productive because they are passionate. They are productive because stillness feels terrifying. Their activity is a distraction, a buffer against the silence where memories and emotions reside. Recognizing these behaviors for what they might be is the first step toward greater understanding. It's about shifting our perspective from judgment to curiosity. Instead of labeling someone as lazy, controlling, or flaky, we can ask, what might be driving this behavior? What need is this behavior trying to meet? This lens of compassion can transform our relationships, and most importantly, our relationship with ourselves. If you recognize some of these patterns in your own life, it's not a cause for alarm, but an invitation for gentle self-reflection. These behaviors are not character flaws. They are signals. They are the language of a mind that is trying to cope, to survive, and to find balance in a challenging world. Acknowledging them is the first, brave step on the path to healing and growth. What is one behavior in yourself or others that you might look at with a bit more compassion after this discussion? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more content that explores the fascinating complexities of the human mind. Thank you for watching,